Captain Gopinath, who's the founder of Deccan, someone who knows the aviation industry in and out. Captain Gopinath, your reaction primarily to what has transpired as far as the unfortunate Dreamliner crash that we've seen in Ahmedabad.
A lot has been said about it. There is something about air accidents that grips the nation's attentions, the global attention. I don't think I can walk anywhere in my park or go to any shopping mall unless somebody who recognizes me and comes and says, "What do you want to, Captain, why did it happen?" So, we have more road accidents, more train accidents, but there's something about flight which captures the imagination. And when something goes wrong, almost to the point of obsession, everybody is focused on this. And even yesterday there was a newspaper article, people are now choosing whether to fly this airline or that airline, whether it is a Boeing Dreamliner or it's Boeing 737 or is it Airbus. So this kind of, so I'm speaking basically to put some perspective and also to the extent possible remove the panic and misinformation or conspiracy theories because many are on steroids when they speak on it, and a lot of speculation too. So I think first what I have to say is that the Tatas are known for their corporate governance, for the charity, for their integrity. As a company, probably the most highly respected company in that regard. So while there could be issues that they need to fix, one should not doubt their intention and seriousness to get this right. Of course, it's bad luck and unfortunate and a great tragedy, but we need to have a serious introspection, all airlines, and especially now Tatas. So in that background, what I want to say is that Tata's already had AirAsia, which is a private airline, which they started with Tony Fernandez. Then they took 100% control. Then they had Vistara with Singapore Airlines with 51-49%. Both were losing money. I think Vistara lost money in a big way. But yet they were run efficiently. It had a flawless safety record. And then they acquired Air India, which was already beset with a lot of problems. It had a spate of accidents in the last more than 50 years, probably the highest number of accidents, fatal accidents, which no private sector airline had, including that AirAsia and Vistara. It is Jet Airways or Indigo or Spice, Touchwood, God forbid, they never had any accident. And even Air India itself, the pilots are, many of them ex-Air Force, are very highly experienced, accomplished, highly qualified. The engineers are all old veterans and war horses. But the airline was beset with problems, not just the financial problems of bleeding money up to, I think they lost almost 60,000 crores. They had maintenance issues, shabby aircrafts, indifferent service, frequent political and bureaucratic influence, interference, and three managements. They had Air India Express, they had Air India, they had Indian Airlines. Then they merged those three airlines much before Tata's took over. And even within the same Air India company, when they merged it, there were union problems because they have different pay grades, different promotions policies, different training standards, different types of aircraft, different logistics. And merging it was, I don't think was a wise idea, but having merged it, it was very incompetently executed. So it is not enough to have an outstanding engineer and an outstanding pilot, because if they heart and mind do not have a or are not aligned, there is no common heartbeat, then just like an aircraft which is complex and assembled improperly, that will disintegrate. And I think this problem was already there in Air India, which they acquired and inherited. And I think I don't think it was a wise decision in hindsight, but anyway it's done. Because I think there was a passion to acquire it. It was a family jewel which was stolen from them, if I can use the word, during the Nehruian time, when Air India was nationalized along with many other companies. And when they nationalized it, J.R.D. Tata was running it. He ran it a few more years. He was one of the iconic figures, not only as a entrepreneur, he was a daredevil pilot. He was passionate about it himself, and he had built a globally reputed, enviable airline known for its hospitality, its cabin maintenance, flight schedule operations. Everything was perfect. In fact, many may not know that Indian Airlines helped set up Singapore Airlines, which is now rated as the second best airline in the world. So that is the reputation they had. And once the JRD stepped down, the airline went to the dogs with everybody using it as a personal vehicle, the government servants. And fortunately, this government, the present government, somehow pushed it through and had the courage to push it through. And now, having said that, there are fresh problems, and those problems are that now Tata has acquired the fourth airline. They acquired Air India and Air India Express. They are two separate airlines. Then they have Vistara and Air Asia. So now just imagine, even in normal companies, where one company acquires another company, it is a nightmare when the company's culture doesn't fit, the ethos doesn't fit, and the employees in an airline are somewhat little different, in the sense, if there's a pilot who has joined, let's say, a particular airline earlier, let's say in Indigo, and if he has got only 5 years experience, if another pilot comes who has got 10 years experience, he is junior to this guy. Now, Air India had a completely different culture, multiple aircrafts, 4 CEOs, 4 boards, 4 finance, 4 logistics, 4 revenue management, 4 engineering, 4 maintenance, 4 HR, 4 IT, 4 revenue management. So it is almost a Herculean task to get them all together and align their various aspects of the business verticals, because everybody is in a particular silo, and how do you get all of them together? So I think the Tatas undertook this daring, almost impossible task. And I think even last week the CNN Richard Quest was in India, and he said, I visited the training facility of Tata's. He met Alan Campbell, the CEO. He said they had put all the air accidents of Air India since it was founded, fatal accidents, on their lobby and display board. And he said we are doing it so that people can be conscious of safeties. And it was a very impressive training facility they have built. But the problem is that in any other company, you can do this culture fit and all the other alignments of different companies have different technologies. You have to mesh it together, right? But that is done, it can take time, you will lose money. But in an airline, it is more difficult and challenging, because you have to do it live, because airline is flying every day. Every day is a live wire situation. So as it is flying, because you can't ground it and do this alignment, you have to fly the airline and align them. And during this time, as you know, there were a lot of strikes, there were a lot of, even after they acquired it, there were a lot of heartburns, pilot salaries, perks, and Tatas are known for their administrative acumen, administrative experience. They were there online, but I don't think everything is completely aligned as yet. So I think they have work to do, but I don't think anybody should panic, because the accidents could be pilot error, it could be malfunction of any component, electronics. It could also be the issue of the Boeing aircraft itself.
Right, and N. Chandrasekaran, the chairman of Air India, has said that the aircraft had a clean history, the engines were new and timely serviced, and the pilots themselves had exceptional professions. There were no red flags as such, as far as either the aircraft or the pilots are concerned. How do you see this?
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with him. Because I said even the experts around the world, some of the inspector generals of the National NTSB, Transport Safety Board of America, who are the longest experience in the world in these kind of forensic audits, they have said it could be pilot error, it could be aircraft error in terms of some problem in the malfunctioning of the aircraft, because some things were not maintained properly, or it could be the aircraft itself. And the pilots were highly, that's the reason everybody is perplexed, because the pilots were very highly experienced pilots. They were not pilots who were picked up novices. So what Chandrasekaran says and Alan Campbell are absolutely correct. So we have now got the black box, which has got, see, these are the most modern aircrafts. 1,100 have been manufactured, and about 1 billion people have already flown on them. It has never had of course, there were whistleblowers of this aircraft. It was investigated by the senators, in America, grilled the Boeing, and FAA inspected, NTSB inspected. Finally, the aircrafts were cleared, and 1,100 aircrafts are flying. There has not been a single accident. So this is the first fatal accident. But the thing is, there is a black box which has been recovered. It's got mountains of data, and all these aircrafts have got a lot of redundancies built into them. And a lot of people are speculating it could be a bird hit. No, we do not know. I'm saying we should wait. We should not speculate. We should not cast aspersions on anybody, including the Tatas, or the pilots, or the airline itself, because the black box has recovered. The second is the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data record. All the three have been recovered.
But how will accountability be fixed in such a scenario, sir?
See, ultimately, in any organization, the buck stops always at the top. So, do you want to say whether the buck stops with the chief operations officer? Does it stop with the chief engineer? Does it stop, depending on what the investigation says? Does it stop with the CEO of the airline? Does it stop with the chairman of the Tata Group, which is they've got 100 companies? so I think we shouldn't jump to the conclusions. What we have to wait is to have patience, wait for the investigation report which will come out with the root cause. They will pinpoint the cause of this accident. After that comes out, this information must be widely circulated in India for other airlines as well as the rest of the world. And in the meantime, the Tatas must internally figure out what went wrong, and if they feel somebody should be, against whom some action should be taken, they should take the action. But if it is not any individual action that you take, then what happens when you have a rail accident? Then you have to have 100 railway minister this one, because there is a generic issue in the railways, for example, that every day, other day you are having a rail accident. So I think let's wait for this. What I am trying to say is we do not know what caused this accident. Is it Boeing? If it is Boeing, obviously Boeing has already been hauled up earlier, then Boeing will have to face the music. If it is the aircraft itself or the pilot itself, then they have to go back, and the pilot is passed away. Now, if there was some problem which caused, or it could be a combination of reasons. That means the pilot did something because something else went wrong, and so instead of doing something else, he did something else. That's what every investigator has said. But let's wait and not try to make anybody a scapegoat or speculate. We have to wait. And the second thing I want to tell is to everybody is that there is this fascination to fly, right from the human being's life came on earth. When he looked at the bird, man wanted to fly, so he attempted kite flying 2000 years ago. He attempted jumping from towers. Many died. Then the first flight was Wright brothers. They flew, and the first flight was only 36 meters or 100 odd feet, and it flew for about a few seconds. And today the Airbus 350 flies for almost 18 hours and 17,000 kilometers. The Boeing Dreamliner flies 14,000 kilometers. Boeing 777 long range, that flies 16 hours. So we have come a long way. That itself is a miracle. And so more people die driving to the airport than on the flight. Let's remember that. But having said that, the Tatas have a serious work to do in getting the best people from around the world, and also internally put aviation professionals and go to the bottom of it, because this cannot be fixed because one aircraft. There needs to be probably a total look at how the four airlines are now merged, how the organization is synchronized, how everything is meshing together, all the culture is all right. Because an engineer, if you show an engineer, he'll fix anything. But as an organism, the organization has to work together, and that will take time. And Tatas have done this unthinkable job of acquiring Air India, which was already in very bad shape. So they have already achieved a lot. I think we should give them time, and I'm sure they're seized of it. But anyway, we have to wait till the report comes. I think it will come out in the next 1 or 2 months.
Right, and Mr. N. Chandrasekharan has also come out and apologized for this incident. How do you react to that?
A right thing to do. I'm sure. I think the whole nation is mourning with this loss. It could have been you in the flight. There was a lady who said that I was on the way to the airport, and then I was denied a flight. So I went back. But right now my thoughts are with the people. I can't say. There was a time when this aircraft crashed in. It was a turboprop which crashed in somewhere in the northeast with Mr. Moraji Desai. I was in the army then, and Moraji Desai survived, I think, with one more person. He came dusting himself and he said, "My faith in God has gone up." But the pilot and the co-pilot and others died. And I went for the funeral of the pilot in Kerala, I remember, from the army as a guard of honor to lay the wreath. So what about the pilot's family? Do they lose faith in God? So somebody is saying there was a, Krishna's idol there in the aircraft right next to this guy, or there was a Bhagavad Gita next to him. I think, we are being uncharitable. Who can say it's God's will, right? Then you lose all faith in everything. Will God want this? But then, anyway, it's happened. That's how life is, and life goes on, and we should be optimistic and shoulder to the plow and work hard now and attend to the issues of all airlines, and especially now Tatas have serious work to do. I'm sure they will do it. They're an extraordinary company. They have weathered such storms before. I'm sure they'll do it again.
Right, and also, former Civil Aviation Minister Praful Patel has gone on to question the silence of Singapore Airlines, which is a partner of Air India. He says that Air India's CEO, Campbell Wilson, is a nominee of Singapore Airlines as well and formerly led its low-cost carrier Scoot. Of course, they put out a statement since, but Mr. Chandrasekaran of Air India has responded saying that Dreamliners were brought during the tenure of Mr. Patel in government. How are you viewing this sparring that's taking place?
I think these are needless controversies because, Singapore Airlines has 25% or 24%, I think, in the entire airline. So Tata's Sons owns 76%. So Tata's Sons have appointed through Air India. I don't know what the structure is. They have appointed, the board has appointed a new CEO, and he's an experienced guy. And so I don't think Singapore Airlines, Tatas can request Singapore Airlines also to come and study it. But no, that's investigations are not carried out that way. Investigations are carried out by NTSB, which is the National Transportation Safety Board, because Boeing, they've got the most experience in the world. Boeing is manufactured there. The Boeing will be there. Then it will be led by DGCA. It is an investigation by the Indian government led by DGCA. There's the Tata technicians or Tata management, whom they appoint, the technical people. They should be there. These four will decide. You can't have, if you have got another shareholder, you can't call him also, right? Singapore Airlines has no role in this. Singapore Airlines has no role in this. They're a minority shareholder. The management rests with Tatas morally and legally, and they are not shirked that responsibility. And I don't think that should be the line of argument today. The thing is, what we have to all focus on: how do we improve safety, and also look at the airports, because as you saw on many airports today, on either side of the funnel, where the approach and takeoff, because many accidents take place, because if you decide to abort a takeoff or abort a landing in the last minute, the margin of error is very little, and in case you have to ditch the aircraft, if there are buildings on the other side, they will get damaged. So they should see where all there is encroachment of real estate with nexus of the local politicians there. And all airports, they should do a survey and make the airport safe. They should not allow garbage around the airport. There's already every airport takes makes effort in this to see that the birds and vultures are not there. They should not give license to the abattoirs. Look at airport instrumentation. Look at the airport runways. So enhance the safety of the airports, because in the event this pilot had a free open area, he could have probably landed in that and the airport, a soft landing, he could have reduced the damage, reduced the death of the number of people probably. But I think now all focus must be very objective and without politicizing it, without pointing any fingers. We should very honestly see what went wrong with the accident, learn lessons from it, and improve on it. and I'm sure Tatas are seized of it. They will do it.
Okay. And also, given that the Dreamliner aircraft itself is relatively new, and it is also, of course, a completely new way of designing an aircraft, it's the first major crash, as you mentioned earlier. Do you expect that this investigation would be landmark and could potentially reveal loopholes in the aircraft safety?
Yeah, I'm sure. I think they will look at that. But I think this, you know, like they say, one swallow doesn't make a summer. One accident after 1 billion people have flown 1,100 aircrafts, 14 years. It has been flying from 14 years. 14 years. And this aircraft was acquired by Air India 12 years ago. And so I think, purely speaking from statistics, it is not a statistics that should be uncommon. But of course, you know, there's something about this aircraft accidents, because we have had a few accidents in Air India, all in the last 30-40 years. We had an aircraft in, I think, Ahmedabad, in Cochin, in Mangalore, in Bangalore. I think also it was very dramatic, you know, because the whole world saw that 1 minute clip where you saw it going down in front of you. That's actually stuck in everybody's mind very vividly. But I think just look at it. You know, look at any of your cars. An aircraft, 1,100 aircraft, and after 14 years, one accident, and we still don't know why it happened. Let's wait.